The first station of the cross is in the courtyard of the Omaria Muslim College in the street called the Via Dolorosa. It marks the traditional site of the Antonia Fortress, or the Praetorium of Pilate, and the Lithostratos, the paved place where Jesus was publicly scourged and condemned to death by Pontius Pilate. The second station of the cross is in the roadway between the Omaria College and the Franciscan compound. It marks the traditional site where the cross was placed on the shoulders of Jesus, as described by St. John, chapter 19, verse 17. They then took charge of Jesus, and carrying his own cross, he went out of the city to the place of the skull, or, as it was called in Hebrew, Golgotha. The third station of the cross is at the present entrance to the Armenian Catholic Church and School. It marks the site where Jesus fell the first time. The fall is not mentioned in the Gospel, but tradition has preserved its memory here, near the site of the ancient fish gate. Jesus must have been exhausted after the savage treatment he had already received, and fell under the weight of the cross before reaching the gate. The fourth station of the cross is outside the Armenian Church of Our Lady of Spasm, and marks the traditional meeting place of Christ and his mother. It is believed that when Jesus fell, Mary, his mother, was at hand to assist and console him. The fifth station of the cross, marked by a small chapel dedicated to Simon of Cyrene, who helped Jesus to carry the cross. The scene commemorated here is described in a very brief passage by St. Luke, chapter 23, verse 26. As they were leading him away, they seized on a man, Simon from Cyrene, who was coming in from the country, and made him shoulder the cross and carry it behind Jesus. About 40 yards from the chapel of Simon of Cyrene, we pass under an archway and a fragment of a pillar embedded in the wall. This indicates the place of the sixth station and the traditional location of the house of the legendary Veronica, who is said to have stepped forward to clean the blood and filth from the face of Jesus as he passed on his way to Calvary. As a reward for her kindness, the image of his countenance is said to have remained on the cloth which she used, hence the name Vera Icone, true likeness. The seventh station of the cross marks the traditional site where Jesus fell the second time while passing out of the city through what Christians later called the Judgment Gate. A chapel was built to commemorate this event. The eighth station on the Via Dolorosa is where we commemorate Christ's encounter with the women of Jerusalem, as recorded by St. Luke, chapter 23, verses 27 through 30. Large numbers of people followed him, and of women too, who mourned and lamented for him. But Jesus turned to them and said, "Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me." The ninth station of the cross is indicated by the shaft of a pillar set in the wall of the Coptic Patriarchate. Jesus was so weak by this time, carrying his own cross, that he fell for the third time before reaching the summit of Calvary. Stations 10 through 14 are all commemorated inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The 10th station, in the right-hand nave on Calvary, marks the site where Jesus was stripped of his garments. The 11th station, at the altar in the right-hand nave on Calvary, marks the site where Jesus was nailed to the cross. The 12th station, at the Greek altar in the right-hand nave on Calvary, is where Jesus dies on the cross. The 13th station at the altar of Stabat Mater, between the two preceding altars, marks where Jesus is taken down from the cross. The 14th station is where Jesus was laid in the tomb below in the shrine of the Holy Sepulchre.